Well, if you're a stock trader with a strategy that isn't quite working, then pay attention because I'm going to tell you how to solve the problem of making your strategy work. To begin, let's just discuss what a strategy is all about. You've got rules for entry, for exit, for risk management, and you should be testing those rules to see if they work over a large sample size. And this is where many traders fail because they begin with a concept that seems to make sense, but they don't test it over a large number of trades. They sort of trade from the hip, based more on gut feel. Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot better to base a trading strategy on data. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So successful stock trading strategies, as I said, have rules for entry, for exit, and risk management. And these rules provide a positive expected value. What I mean by that is if you were to apply those rules to a large number of trades, it would make money. Now, that doesn't mean that it will make money on every trade. I've never seen a strategy that works on every single trade. But the only way to know if a strategy works is to look at data from a large sample size. Now, ultimately, we can then work to refine our rules by testing and looking at the data. And this is where you can fix any trading strategy. All the questions that you have, all of the issues that you might have with your strategy can be figured out by the numbers, by the data. And I'll show you how I do this. So I have a screen. Well, let's begin with a stock that moved on Friday. And this is one of the trades we'll look at. I'll look at another one at the end of the video. So this FMFC triggered my strategy right here. And that's all based on rules. You can see that there's a little orange dot on that 1 minute candle. And that orange dot represents abnormal price movement with abnormal volume. And so that's the basis of my strategy. I look for stocks making abnormal breaks from boring low volatility trading. You can see the result if stock moved up a lot, but there's a lot more to this than what you can see in this chart. So that particular signal happened at 12:04. So this is the screen where I compile my data. I use TradeStation. TradeStation is not something I have any affiliation with. I've used it for 20 years. It's a great piece of software for testing and developing strategies. So you can see there that 12:04 is when there was an action candle. I call those orange candles action candles. And the entry price was at 31 cents. And then I calculate the capital requirement for every $100 of risk. So it required $625 of capital for $100 of risk, which was just under 2,000 shares. Now, if I wanted to take $5,000 of risk, then I would multiply that capital by 50 to determine the risk amount or the capital size of that trade. Now, what we can do is we can take these numbers, because this is an end of day summary of how this particular stock traded. It's called my first wave strategy. So the entry point was 12:04. The stock ultimately went up 17 times the risk amount, which means that for every $100 of risk, it made $1,700 of profit. Now, it's really important at this point to understand that when I say risk, that's not the position size. I didn't buy $100 to bet or to risk $100. We're buying $625 to risk $100 because we have stops in place. All right, so really important to make sure we understand that. So for $625, this trade had a maximum potential of $1,700 of profit. Now, we would never sell it at the highs. It's almost impossible. You can get lucky once in a while, but really you don't. But on this particular trade, I'd be very happy to earn 4, 5, 6 times risk. $500 of profit for $600 of capital required and $100 of risk. So now if we dive back into this, I'm going to take this data because this is the amounts of all the different indicators that go into this strategy. This is candle percent, volume significance, price significance, action ticks, which is the number of trades on the action candle. This is something I call reward for risk to inflection, which is the distance down to the support price. All of those things are compiled in a spreadsheet that I use to then adjust things as I try to define my rules. So in this case, you can see this is a particular test I'm doing for the month of July, which is now over, of course. And so we've got on the 22nd of July, there was this one trade. There was a few more above that. On the 23rd, there was these. On the 27th, there was these. So you get the idea. All of the trades that met my rules are put into the spreadsheet. And these here are the filters that I can alter to test the strategy. So right now, I've got raw data. This is the data from every single trade in July that met the rules. There was 86. And the win rate was 66% with an average profit of 2.25 times the risk. So that includes the losses. So the losses plus the profits for every $100 of risk made $225 per trade, all right, on average. Now, it doesn't mean we take every trade. That doesn't mean we get the perfect execution. We can have slippage, all of the different things. This is just the raw data. But then what we have below is the filtered data. And the filtered is based on what I've got here. So if I only take trades between $1 and $50 with at least 350 trades on the action candle, then the results get a little better. Now it's 72% success rate. Now I can further refine this by altering the settings. So what I wanted to test, because that particular example was under $1, I wanted to test what happens on stocks below $1 if I increase the number of trades from 350 to 500. Everything else stayed the same. All I did was change the entry price, $0 to $1, and a minimum number of trades of 500. All the other filters are the same as the last screen. Well, now the success rate jumps to 79% and the average profit to 2.73 times. This is the ideal selling strategy here. I've got 5 different selling strategies. So this was the ideal selling strategy, a average profit of 2.73 per trade. So for every $100 of risk or $1,000 of risk, just multiply it by that number. So $1,000 of risk gives you $2,737 of profit. Again, before slippage, before execution errors and that sort of thing. So this is a really powerful way to develop and test a strategy. And by doing this, I can see where there's problems with the strategy. For example, I know that if I increase the float size when applying the strategy, and the float size is the number of shares available for the public to trade. Well, I've tested this in my spreadsheet and the success rate drops quite sharply as float size go up. And it makes some sense because the float size is the number of shares available to trade. So if you have a limited supply, a much smaller float size, and strong demand, a large number of trades or a large number of traders chasing that stock, well, then it can make a much bigger move. And we saw in that example that it made a huge move. If we go back to that screen, we can see that the maximum gain was 17 times risk. So if I go back to that chart, the difference or the multiple from this entry point up to the high is 17 times the risk amount. So the risk amount is the difference between the white line and the yellow line, and it went up 17 times risk. And even if you sold here on the break of the upward trend, you're still netting 8 or 9 times risk. Again, for every $100 of risk, $800 or $900 of profit. So this is a really cool way to test the strategy. Anytime I have a strategy that's kind of working, but maybe it's not working as well as I thought it should, I look at the data. I collect data for really a fairly long time. You have to build a fairly large sample size. Even this one, there's only 86 trades in here. That's kind of a small sample size. I've got strategies where I've tested over tens of thousands of iterations where the rules were met. And from that, you can really identify the sweet spots for your rules to make sure that it works better. Of course, this is one of my favorite things about trading is developing the strategy, testing the strategy, and then ultimately trading the strategy. Now, you can have the best strategy in the world. You can have all the rules, the data could show that it works, but if you don't have discipline, and if you don't have focus, and you don't put in the time in, no strategy is going to make you money. Ultimately, it comes down to managing yourself as much as managing the data. All right, now before we get into another trade example from this strategy, I'm going to show you another one from Friday's trading that did even better. I want to first analyze the overall markets, give you a sense of whether there's impending doom in the market or not. So we'll jump back into the screen share here and look at the Stock Scores website. This is my website. You can register for my free weekly email right here. I send out emails every week with some analysis of the markets and trading tips, that sort of thing. So let's begin with S&P 500. Here it is, SPY, the chart, and we're generally in an upward trend. This is a 3-year weekly chart. So generally in an upward trend, it's a bullish market. But in the last 3 months, it's been kind of sideways. If we look at the very short term, what's interesting is we broke this little pullback on Friday. So we've started to move up, and perhaps that will get us out of this sort of summer slowdown, summer pullback in the next little while here. So we're looking a little better this week than we were last week. Now, the NASDAQ market has suffered more. There was an unwinding of a large hedge fund heavily invested in tech stocks. And with that unwinding, I think there was an abnormal amount of volatility. I think this market probably bounces back in the short term. The trend in the long term is still up. In the short term, what we need to see is a break of this downward trend line. So if I draw a line across these tops, I want to see it break that downward trend line from a rising bottom. That could happen next week. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll update you next week, of course. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because I'll keep you updated on this each week. IWM, little 4-week pullback in the IWM, which is a small cap market, but still relatively healthy long-term, short-term, just kind of in that drift on light volume. Still opportunities for short-term traders, but longer term, it's been pretty quiet. Moving along to the Canadian market, which has been in a very strong upward trend, and that trend continues. So it's a very bullish market in the long term and in the short term. The trend is up. Gold, GLD, has been pretty weak the last 6 months or so after a really strong run the previous, say, 2 years. But it is at the point where it may start to find some support because our trend line is right here. We've fallen to the trend line. We should bounce off of that. And we've definitely slowed the downward momentum over the last 3 or 4 weeks. If we go to the 1-month chart, you can see that we've stopped going down. We just haven't really started to go up yet. So the situation getting a little better on gold. I wouldn't say it's stellar yet, but we'll keep an eye on that. Looking at oil, which has had lots of volatility with what's going on in the Middle East. We saw the big jump up 2 and 3 weeks ago. And then this week, we kind of held in there with some little bit of selling pressure early in the week and then bounce back late in the week. So very volatile, kind of difficult to predict. I think if you're a short-term trader, you can be, buying here on the break of the downward trend from a rising bottom and then selling here on the break of the upward trend from a falling top. And right now, not much to say about where it's going to go. We need to see it either break this resistance or down through this support level. So those are really short-term trades. For most people, I don't think that's super appropriate. All right, let's take a look at the currencies now. UUP is the US dollar, and it had a bit of a sell-off this past week. If we go to the short-term chart, you can see that there. And that's on the Fed news as the US dollar sold off on the Fed announcement that there was no change in interest rates, and that dropped quite sharply as it was building some anticipation for maybe a rate rise. That never happened, so that's maybe what hurt the US dollar. And then GBTC, which is our Bitcoin chart, is in a downward trend on the long-term weekly chart. You can see the sentiment stock score is very negative, 38. And it's been that way for some time. I've been negative on Bitcoin for almost a year now. But if we look at that short-term chart, we'll see that it's starting to stabilize. We just need to break to the upside, show some buyer excitement. It's not quite there yet. TLT is our Treasury bond chart, and this has fallen through support from falling tops. It looks more likely that the bond market is going to go down, which means the market is pricing in higher interest rates. So my ratings then, US large cap, short-term neutral, long-term bullish. NASDAQ, short-term bearish, long-term bullish. Small caps, neutral and bullish. Canadian stocks still bullish on both time frames. Gold and oil, neutral on both time frames. US dollar, short-term neutral, still long-term bullish. Bitcoin, neutral in the short term, but bearish in the long term, and bonds, bearish on both time frames. All right, so let's go back to another example from Friday. This is FCUV. This one started moving in the pre-market, and oftentimes these really strong stocks do that. But again, you can see there the very little orange dot right there, which is our abnormal activity, telling us that the buyers were coming in aggressively. So I let the computer do most of the work. I've tested the data, and this one had an explosive move to the upside. If we go back to that data sheet that was earlier in the spreadsheet right here, here you can see FCUV, which was in the extended session, the pre-market session. Entry candle at 8.20, entry price $2.58. For every $100 of risk, $464 of capital. This one topped out at 30 times risk. And again, we're not going to sell it at the highs, but that's a great performance. And this particular strategy, which I call the first wave strategy, is all based on data. I use computers to identify these trades. I run a webinar every day where you can watch my analysis screen. You can learn more about that at stockscores.com. And then we are just sitting there waiting for the signals, applying the rules. Doesn't work all the time, but the historical performance, as you saw there, around 70%, and the typical profit a little better than almost triple what the average loss is for a net average of around 2.5 times risk. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in your trading, what is your stumbling block? Maybe it's not the strategy, maybe it's you, but if it's something to do with your rules, use this approach of looking at the data to figure out how to solve the problem. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, trade well.